welcome back to the show जिसका नाम है The Alternate View here on Glance Lock Screen and Reposo Lock Screen. Once again, मैं हूँ आपका साथी, आपका दोस्त, आपका cricket anchor, Jamie Alter. It's Monday. We've had a fantastic weekend of cricketing action. The Indian men's team defeated the West Indies 4-1 के margin से by sweeping the two remaining matches in Florida after the West Indies leg of their T20 I series was ended at 2-1. हम इसके बारे में आज बात करेंगे आज के शो में. Also, if you've been following the Commonwealth Games, it was a bumper weekend. हमारे भारतीय एथलीट्स के लिए बहुत सारे गोल्ड मेडल्स आए थे संडे को. सिल्वर्स, ब्रॉन्ज, आज भी मेडल आए. लक्ष्य सेन गोल्ड मेडल, पीवी सिंधु गोल्ड मेडल, बहुत बहुत सारे और मेडलिस्ट हैं. अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमारी जो महिला भारतीय टीम है वो ऑस्ट्रेलिया से हारी कल, बहुत बहुत कम मार्जिन से. इट वाज अ मैच इन विच दे डोमिनेटेड अ लॉट ऑफ सेक्शंस, स्पेशली बाय टेकिंग 5 विकेट्स फॉर 35 ऑड रन्स एट द बैक एंड ऑफ ऑस्ट्रेलियाज इनिंग्स. लेकिन ऑस्ट्रेलिया की टीम, मेग लैनिंग की टीम, ऐसी नहीं जानी जाती है as arguably the best Australian team of all times. They're one day World Cup holders, they're T20 World Cup holders, and now Australian team under Meg Lanning is Commonwealth gold medal winners. Hats off to them. दुख की बात है कि एक चेस जो लग रहा था हमारे महिला टीम के हाथ में है, खासकर जब हरमनप्रीत कप्तान खेल रही थी और बाउंड्री पार कर रही थी, but there was a bit of a collapse, a choke, as they say. Not for the first time we've seen with the women's team, but still to have a silver medal. And remember, दोस्तों, ये पहली बार था जब क्रिकेट, महिला क्रिकेट कॉमनवेल्थ गेम्स में शामिल किया गया था. तो yes, the Indian team lost, but they can put their heads up high because they have a silver medal, and they looked पूरे टूर्नामेंट में the only team which could push the Australian team. आज के हमारे मेहमान है गुरकीरत सिंह गिल. He's a cricket analyst and he's a host of a lovely cricket podcast on YouTube. मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सभी जाके इनका YouTube चैनल देखें जिसका नाम है गिली क्रिकेट, नॉट गली क्रिकेट, गिली क्रिकेट, GILLY क्रिकेट. और जोरदार से तालियों से स्वागत करिए for the first time here on Glance Lock Screen and Reposo Glance Lock Screen, Gurkirat Singh Gill. Looking forward to this chat. Let's get him on the show right now. I've got his join request and I'll just bring him up and then we'll get the show started. आज भी हम बहुत सारे गपशप करने वाले हैं गिल साहब के साथ. बाकी जैसे कि आप जानते हैं, you guys can post your questions for us. If you have any questions, comments, you can post it on the lock screen. While I just get Gurkirat here, I got the request. Let's see if he can join now. कभी कभी नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम्स आ जाते हैं, but we'll get him on. आप लोग कहीं जाइए मत, बहुत 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 बातें करनी है आज गुरकीरत के साथ. A lot of it centered on India's 4-1 T20 I series win. Keeping in mind the Asia Cup starts in a couple of weeks और उसके बाद T20 World Cup है. I got the request from Gurkirat. Something happened here. Don't worry, we'll get him on the show soon enough. We do sometimes have technological challenges. कोई बात नहीं, मैं बात करता हूँ. बाकी दोस्तों, आप लोग के पास अगर कोई सवाल है, कोई क्वेश्चंस हैं, तो आप यहाँ अपने लॉक स्क्रीन में डाल सकते हैं. शेखर कपूर कह रहे हैं हाय 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 शेखर, श्वेता इज बैक, हाउ आर यू, कैसे आप? मैं बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ, आप बताइए. शेखर कपूर पूछ रहे हैं हाउ आर यू जेमी. आई एम वेरी वेल शेखर, गुड टू सी यू हियर. श्वेता saying very nice, thank you, and let's get Gurkirat back here again. I've got his join request, proved it. Yes, I hear some noise on the border. Here we are. There he is.
Hi Jamie, how are you?
Hi Gurkirat, how are you? I'm very well. Yeah, how's your day been so far?
It's been good. Been following a little bit of Commonwealth Games to get over the disappointment of last night. A good gold for India in badminton, both men's and women's singles. And साथ में I'm now watching the Hockey World Cup final.
Hockey, I know.
Final as well, because that is one sport that I follow the most after cricket. So वहाँ पर थोड़ा soft corner है. But yeah, hoping that India do well.
Bilkul. And you rightly said, I mean, it's been a fantastic Commonwealth Games for all of our athletes, but Lakshya Sen, I mean, you watch him, the speed he has, you realize the guy is only 20 years old and he's having the best year, the last best 12 months. So hats off to him. PV Sindhu, of course, we know she's the reigning badminton queen. Good to see her finally tick off that gold as well. And hockey, again, मैं आपकी बात से सहमत हूँ. I also have a soft spot for hockey because I think hockey, when our guys and girls are playing the best, एक तो I think there's no faster game. I'm not really partial to football. I think I'm more partial to hockey. So I also have one tab open here, as I'm sure you do. But Gurkirat, yeah, nice to have you on the show. I know अजीब है ये कहना because we're both utter cricket nuts, but it sort of was in some ways. I'm going to use the word pointless and feel free to correct me. लेकिन ये जो देर रात को वेस्ट इंडीज में सीरीज हो रही थी in the middle of the Commonwealth Games, where our athletes are getting so many gold medals, where the women's team did so well, Gurkirat, to get to the final. Chalo हार गए by a small margin. How closely were you watching the series, and were you staying up late? Because मैं तो कह चुका हूं मैंने एक मैच भी पूरा अंत तक नहीं देखा भाई.
I watched the first ODI till the end. I watched
Okay.
the third ODI. Second ODI, I'd watched till Samson was batting. Once Samson was dismissed, I thought कि अभी 100 रन तो नहीं बन रहे आखिरी 10 ओवर में. Because even though Akshar Patel has improved as a batter, I didn't think that it was something that he could have done. So, but kudos to him, and some support from Deepak Hooda and Avesh as well there. T20s तो देखे थे पूरे. T20s तो you expected. The one which started at 11 p.m. became a little ridiculous because if it's starting at 11, it will go till 2:30. So that was one game that I didn't watch fully. I watched till the West Indies batting power play because उसके बाद थोड़ा idea लग गया था कि आज तो
Correct, correct.
नहीं. But yeah, coming to what you said, ki should these games happen? See, a lot of sports aren't involved in CWG. पहले tennis और shooting भी होते थे, अब वो भी नहीं है. तो अब
Yep.
जो sports नहीं involved, those athletes also have to play somewhere and stay in touch. I mean, it is a big event, but no event is great. Like the world doesn't stop even when Olympics are happening, right? Olympics में cricket नहीं होता,
Well
बाकी
said.
sports नहीं होते.
Well said.
So to each sport its own, and I hope whosoever follows whichever sport is happy, because I think if you follow sport and if you still don't understand the various stages of life or various examinations of life, तो आप sport के पीछे जो teachings है वो नहीं समझ पा रहे. I have always felt this, and I have said it many a times, that I think it's probably one of the biggest teachers in my life, and I have learnt a lot outside the classroom due to sports than what I did inside the classroom. तो वो है. I mean, even I try and follow as much as I can, but एक point के
Yep.
बाद आप थक जाते हो. So then you have to rely on all the updates.
बिल्कुल. That's a very honest answer you've given. You know, the fact that you learn so much about sports while watching, also playing, and I think it's a great thing that we have. Yes, I know that various, especially when it comes to our beloved cricket, the calendar is in a sense madness and it's really packed. But it does, on the flip side, give you a chance to watch a range of players in a range of formats and a range of leagues now. So ये बहुत अच्छा है. And I frankly love it every 4 years जब a Commonwealth Games rolls around, because like I was on somebody else's podcast a few days ago, and this topic came up कि हर 4 साल में क्यों media starts to go after our athletes? Why don't they support the athletes as much during the 4 years? And there's no definite answer to that. I think a lot of us media wale are at fault for not parading our athletes. But I have seen, apart from World Cups, I'm talking about mainly one-day World Cups, Gurkirat. I have not seen, people who don't follow sports day in, day out. I've not seen them come together when they do, when our hockey teams are playing, or when a Sindhu or a Lakshya, even when the shooters are there, because there's a certain nationalistic pride and which really comes out. So I love, watching Commonwealth Games and the Olympics. Before we get into आज का topic जो है India West Indies, just a few words on the women's team. I mean, I said just before you joined कि मेरे हिसाब से if there was one team which could consistently challenge this all-conquering Australian team of Meg Lannings, it had to be the Indian team. Or kal, I mean, I know you also got into a Twitter banter with some people about the shot that Harmanpreet played and the way she was playing. But yes, another loss at the biggest stage. Somehow we have this hurdle of crossing the finals. But it still was a very, very good performance overall by the women's team.
See, यहाँ पर ना काफ़ी पहलू हैं, जैसे हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, there are many parts to this argument. One is obviously, and I think this shouldn't be denied, and this should be a universal truth, that in terms of depth in talent and quality, there is no team that can match Australian women's right now, because it is not possible. England are good, South Africa are good, New Zealand are good. India do have their phases, but you
Yep.
can't match Australian team in terms of depth. So whenever you have to beat Australia, you don't need one player to do something special. You need three or four players to do something special, and then hope that the Australian team doesn't have a great day. Like yesterday, Alyssa Haley was dismissed early, and then Alana King went for 40 runs in her 4 overs. That doesn't happen usually. They were also,
Yep.
even though I felt that they shouldn't have played Tahiliya McGrath, but it wasn't an advantage per se, because you saw that it was difficult for her to field. She also got injured while fielding. Her 2 overs weren't really economical. So you needed you, and they didn't finish off well. So if you go back and look back at the 2017 semi-final, at that point of
Yep.
time, you needed probably the best innings that I have seen in World Cups after maybe Kapil Dev's. I haven't seen Kapil Dev's, but the best innings
I
that I
get
have
it.
seen.
Yep. Yep.
Then you required someone like Jhulan Goswami to also bowl well. So you need a lot to come together to beat Australia. Unfortunately for India, that didn't happen, and I don't think Harmanpreet's batting was at fault, because she scored at more than the required rate. She got the
Absolutely.
required, like everyone else only contributed 77 runs in 74 balls, and 9 wickets fell in those 77 balls. So depth का issue है ही, but still this loss should hurt, because 44 runs of 34 balls is something that should happen. एक और चीज़ मैं यहाँ पे बोलना चाहूँगा कि there is a difference
Please.
between choking and underperforming, because the Indian men's team has also lost so many times in these ICC tournaments, that even when they get outplayed, we say, oh, they have choked. Like you take the example of the 2017 Champions Trophy final. जब आप
Correct.
180 रन से हार रहे हो, आप चोक नहीं कर रहे, you've been outplayed,
Bilkul sir.
right?
It's not. You're hammered. Yep. Yep. Yep.
So it's a bad day, and those bad days can happen. Choking is more of what happened with India in the 2017 final and yesterday. They lost to a much better team in the 2020 World Cup final. I mean, they were beating comprehensively. That is not choking. You go back to the 2018 World T20 semi-final, again, that was not choking. That was a better team playing better on that day. तो ये चीज़ें हैं जो लोगों को थोड़ी समझनी पड़ेगी, कि ऐसा, बिकॉज एक आर्ग्यूमेंट उठ जाता है कि हाउ विल द वुमेन्स IPL हेल्प, बिकॉज द मेंस टीम ऑल्सो चोक्स. The men's team hasn't choked. It's been
Yep.
outperformed
Yep.
on that particular day, and जो उनकी कमियां थी, they have been highlighted on that particular day. जैसे 2019 का वर्ल्ड कप सेमीफाइनल देखें, सबको पता था कि इंडिया का जो मिडिल ऑर्डर है, दैट इज नॉट स्ट्रॉन्ग. सो इफ यू गेट थ्रू द टॉप थ्री, एंड दिस टॉप थ्री डिडंट इंक्लूड समवन लाइक शिखर धवन, तो आपकी जो कमी है, जो पिछले 2-3 साल से चल रही है, अगर आप उस पर एक्सपोज हुए हो, तो दैट इज़ नॉट चोकिंग. दैट इज़ जस्ट यू टेकिंग दैट रिस्क एंड नॉट कमिंग ऑफ. सो ये जो चोकिंग का टर्म है, ये इंटेंट की तरह ना बड़ा, इट्स लॉस्ट इट्स मीनिंग, बिकॉज every time a
I
team
agree.
every time a team loses, fans end up saying, oh, we choked. It's not it's not the case every
No, no,
time.
I agree. I agree, and I have to also say that ये जो एक the way you described it, I think a lot more people need to be doing this because आजकल social media के ज़माने में it's very very easy in fact to attach any term, as compared to say 12, 15 years later. Before we heard the word choke, it was applied to the South African team. अभी वो भी choke नहीं करते. The things they do are, I mean, I think we moved beyond the word choke when it comes to South Africa because there really is no logical explanation to what happens to them when it comes to these kind of matches.
No, so
Let's,
in
huh?
just on that subject, in the
Yeah, yeah,
2020, in the last T20 World Cup, South Africa didn't choke. They were unlucky. They went
correct.
out on run rate, and they didn't have the luck which Australia had. Australia kept winning all those tosses. They were the only team, only a full member team that had beaten a full member team while batting first. Right? They beat England while batting first, and they beat them by a decent enough margin, which was 15
Yep.
20 runs. तो उसके बाद भी आप 4 मैचेस जीतने के बाद भी इफ यू डोंट क्वालिफाई, देन दैट इज नॉट चोकिंग, दैट इज नॉट बीइंग
It's
लकी,
not.
एंड दैट कैन हैपन इन स्पोर्ट.
Yep. Exactly. And the same thing, the 2015 One Day World Cup semi final at Auckland Park. I had the fortune of being there. What a kya kamal ka match. Yes, once again, they made some wrong choices. They dropped some catches. But again, that goes beyond the word choke. Wahan pe Brendan McCullum outplayed you inside the power play. And then Grant Elliott comes along and plays the innings of a lifetime. Same, मैं आपकी बात सहमत हूँ. That does not qualify as choking. But again, the word gets thrown out so easily. But yeah,
एक और इसमें पार्ट है,
huh?
लाइक व्हेन द रेन केम, साउथ अफ्रीका हैड बैटेड 39 overs, And
Yep.
out
Yep.
of the remaining 11 overs, I think only 3 or 4 overs were to be bowled by their main bowlers, because McCullum had the style of captaincy where he wanted to dismiss De Villiers early and he couldn't. I remember some like 43 ओवर मैच में तो कोई बॉलर 9 ओवर वैसे भी नहीं डाल सकता अगर आप उसको 5 में स्प्लिट करें,
Correct.
राइट?
Correct. Correct.
तो उनके दो तीन बॉलर्स नहीं, सॉरी, डाल सकते हैं, सिर्फ तीन डाल सकते हैं, उनके दो बॉलर्स मेन बॉलर्स ऑलरेडी 9 ओवर डाल चुके थे. So from there on, South Africa had the ability to add another 100 runs more and
Yep.
post the target which was beyond 350, 370. From there on, even if you have a very good power play start, it's difficult to win. So they were again unlucky also somewhere on the account of where and when the rain happened. तो ये सारी चीज़ें ये चीज़ें भूल भूल लोग भुला देते हैं, क्योंकि
बहुत.
एक
Yeah.
रन आउट पे या एक कैच ड्रॉप पे पूरी एक गेम बेस करना इज़ मच ईजियर, बिकॉज एवरी वन कैन सी दैट. तो वो वहाँ पे ज़्यादा एनालिसिस की ज़रूरत नहीं है, वो आपको सामने
See.
दिख रहा है. एंड अगेन जो क्लीशेज है कैचेज इन मैचेस का, वो क्लीशेज जो है वो पहले के टाइम में इसलिए था क्योंकि तब टीम्स फील्डिंग में अच्छी नहीं होती थी, बट अब वेयर टीम्स आर सो गुड इन द फील्ड, दे रियली
Yep.
डोंट ड्रॉप एनी. तो वो क्लीशे को अब अप्लाई करना डजंट रियली मेक दैट मच सेंस इन माई व्यू.
Well said. चलिए let's move on to the West Indies series. इससे पहले मैं एक छोटा सा क्लिप लगाऊंगा हमारे व्यूअर्स के लिए. This is a clip that the BCCI posted yesterday about Rohit Sharma speaking to the team, just for our viewers, because I'm going to ask you questions based on what he said here.
It takes a lot to change your game. It takes a lot to get into different mindset. It takes a lot to understand what the team requires every point in time. For me, individual brilliance is good, but those little effort from all of us is what will give us more results consistently, and that is what we're looking for.
बहुत बढ़िया. अब ये रोहित शर्मा ने एक चीज कही. ऑफ कोर्स ही न्यू द कैमरा वाज ऑन. दिस इज अ ग्रेट फोटो ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी, बट at the onset, something is very obvious here, Gurkirat, the kind of cricket the Indian men's team played in England and now the West Indies and against Ireland, though wo team thodi different thi, there is a marked effort to try and score a bit faster, something which has been level against this team, especially given how the 2021 T20 World Cup panned out. अब यहाँ पे क्या है? Look at the West Indies series. Only 350 scored across 5 matches. But the strike rates, okay, apart from Hardik Pandya, surprisingly, and I think Jadeja, everyone's strike rate was 132 plus. But 132 was Samson, and then you had guys scoring at 180, 190. And yahan pe, I've always felt that if you can get scores of 30, if 5, 6 guys can get scores of 30 to 40 at a strike rate of 190, 200, ek to you put the bowlers under pressure, but you're backing yourself to get that 180, which is generally a safe score. यहाँ पे तो रोहित ने कहा था कि हमारी गोल होती है to get to 190 and barring 2 matches they did that. This shift, what do you attribute, मतलब कितना रोहित शर्मा राहुल द्रविड़ ने इस चीज के बारे में सोचा होगा?
Uh, See, if you look at the 2020 IPL campaign, I'm not particularly talking about the 2019 IPL campaign.
Sure.
I think the lowest strike rate for Mumbai Indians in that IPL was I think Rohit's only, which was around 132, 133, and everyone else, or probably it was below 130, but everyone else, whether it be Ishan Kishan, whether it be Surya Kumar Yadav, Hardik Pandya, Krunal Pandya, or Kyron Pollard, everyone was had a strike rate of 133 plus. Now a strike rate of 133 plus equals scoring at more than 8 runs per over, right? Now what that was ensuring was that even in the uh, uh, worst kind of a day, Mumbai were still able to post a score of around 150, 160. Like there was a game in that IPL where they were 3 down in the power play versus Punjab, but they were still able to post 160 or 170, I believe. So of course you need batters in good form as well, but there was a consistent effort to score faster, to make the power play count, and then not get slower between the over 7 to 12, जहाँ पर teams थोड़ा ज़्यादा time ले लेती हैं consolidation करने में. Now I don't have numbers for this. I tried looking for it, but I think India's run rate in this year between overs to 7 to 12 is probably going to be one of their highest in their 15 or 16 years of T20 international history. So of
I
course
agree.
yes, वहाँ पर एक marked effort है, but ये marked effort इसलिए भी है because they have now realized the roles that people need to play as well. Because what happened in the New Zealand game was, in the middle, two players were stuck together at the crease, who are not very good in terms of batting against spin.
Yeah,
Rohit and Virat, and
yeah.
एक लेग स्पिनर था, एक लेफ्ट आर्म स्पिनर था, both of them taking the ball away. So which also explains why the team is backing Pant so much, because outside of him there isn't a left-handed batter who's adept against playing left arm spin or leg spin. Now some people will talk about Ishan Kishan, but Ishan Kishan's numbers at batting at 3 and 4 in the IPL are somewhere around averaging 25 and a strike
Yeah.
rate of around 124. Now that is not good enough. तो वहाँ पर this explains why the teams, which is why sometimes Rohit has been saying कि people on the outside don't completely understand what we are trying to do, which is fair in some sense, because क्रिकेट ऐसा स्पोर्ट है इंडिया में कि अगर आप सबसे लॉजिकल एक्सप्लेनेशन भी दोगे, people are not going to agree with it, because some of the fans are still set in old ideas and with old cliches, because commentators भी उन्हीं की बात करते हैं, स्पेशली जो फॉर्मर क्रिकेटर्स रहे हैं. तो ये शिफ्ट इन चेंज और शिफ्ट इन मेंटालिटी एक्सप्लेन करना भी मुश्किल है. बट द what I've loved the most with regards to Rohit's statements is that he said that even if we lose, right, we wouldn't mind that, because we know this is what is going to give us more success than failure. Now, if that odd failure happens in a big game, it happens. You have to live with it, because there is no guarantee of anything happening in sport. Even England, everyone expected England in the 2019 World Cup to steamroll the opponents, but they lost to Sri Lanka, they lost to Pakistan, they lost to Australia, and then they were in a situation where they had to beat every team 4 out of 4,
Yep.
and then they also tried to change their approach a little. So that can happen to any team, but it's important that there's conviction in whatever you are trying. The reason why Kings 11 Punjab have struggled historically in the IPL is because they haven't really had a lot of conviction in what they want to do. वो एक मैच
हम्म।
को ट्राई करते हैं.
बिल्कुल सही है।
If they win, they keep that, regardless of that tactic being right or wrong, because एक मैच में आपको कभी नहीं पता लगेगा कि आपने क्या चीज़ सही करी है, क्या बेकार करी है, स्पेशली T20s में, जहाँ पर मार्जिन ऑफ एरर ज़्यादा नहीं होता, बिकॉज गेम इज़ टू स्मॉल. सो इफ़ यू हैव वन थिंग गोइंग फॉर यू, देन यू कैन विन फ्रॉम देयर एंड एज वेल. एंड इफ़ यू लूज, तो जैसे किंग्स 11 पंजाब करते थे, इवन इफ यू लूज डूइंग द राइट थिंग, यू जस्ट ड्रॉप इट बिकॉज यू हैव लॉस्ट. तो ये जो चीज़ है, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है इस टीम मैनेजमेंट की, कि दे आर स्टिकिंग टू व्हाट दे थिंक इज द बेस्ट वे, एंड दे आर हैविंग कन्विक्शन अबाउट इट.
That's very well said, because conviction is something which often, I mean, let's just stick to the last 10 years, when the rise of T20 has gone through the roof. Oftentimes Indian teams have been very, very good. They've been ranked top 3. Aajkal to number 1 ranking hai. But clarity plus conviction is something which has often been leveled at them, and I think rather fairly. Or सबसे बड़ी बात ये है कि just after the IPL, when India played those 5 T20 against South Africa, Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma and the whole management said, "यार हम हार्दिक पांड्या, हम ये 5 matches में we're going to play the same team." It's something you had not seen ever. I mean, I think it's rare across any team, but for Indian team to pick that same thing, बिल्कुल आपने सही कहा था कि the Indian fans, certain level of Indian fans is stuck in the set ways, but that to me was an indication कि अब कुछ बदल रहा है, and very good to see it happen in a T20 World Cup year. I will come to Rishabh Pant because मैं उनका बहुत बड़ा fan हूँ. I want to ask you, but before that, one last question on these two gentlemen in our screen. ये जो हम देख रहे हैं गुरकीरत, this all that we've just discussed in the last few minutes. Go out there, score more aggressive, score more attacking, dominate. It's risky, but I don't think this is possible without the team telling all these players कि अब तुम वो fear of failure को हटा दो. Because it would have been very easy not too long ago कि players to get out, लोग बोलेंगे यार ये क्या shot खेल के आया था. So to get every single member of the squad to buy into this more aggressive, this riskier approach, that needs conviction, as you rightly said. But the team environment, something is changed. Hardik Pandya ने कल कहा था और DK ने भी कहा था कि they have never felt more secure inside the Indian dressing room. How do you correlate these two things, team environment plus conviction, to going out and याके मारो यार बॉल को.
You see, there's a very old saying that actions speak louder than words. Now, in press conferences, in interviews, you can keep saying that we are backing players, but if you are going to drop players after a few failures, especially when you have not even given someone 5 matches in a row in the same role, then then it doesn't help. It speaks differently. So this is why I say, like, people have been saying, why is Sanju Samson not getting chances and Shreyas Iyer is getting chances, despite failing, or in ODIs, why is not Arshdeep getting a go ahead, or why is Avesh getting all those chances now? इसका एक ना, it's a domino effect. Now when you see, even when you are on the sidelines and you are not in the 11, when you see someone who's not doing well also getting those chances, you get a sort of security that कि जब मेरी बारी आएगी तो I'll also get these chances, right? Now Shreyas Iyer obviously hasn't set the stage on fire after the IPL. He didn't have a great series against South Africa. This
Yeah.
series also, barring the last match, he struggled. So uh, but at the same time, he's somewhere earned those chances by having a good series against Sri Lanka and a decent IPL where he worked on his intent, despite
Sure.
having some issues in skill. Similarly, Avesh Khan जो है अब, कोई बोल रहा था कि शमी, लाइक सम पीपल फील कि शमी को क्यों नहीं लिया हुआ, शमी might do better than. Now there are again aspects to it. Shami has been poor at the death bowling in T20 since the last 5-6 years. Avesh is still 25 and he was brilliant in the last IPL, which was the 2021 IPL. And he's young, he's 25, so he'll
Yeah.
mature, he'll become a better bowler, and his bowling style would help India in when they go to Australia. So uh, th- that's what I'm saying. Like, in the sense, what this management is saying, they are backing up with actions, which says enough to the team. And you don't need to say more than that, which is why, sometimes, if your favorite, I'd just like to say to anyone who's listening, ki, if you feel your favorite player is out on the bench and he should be getting chances ahead of someone who's playing, right, you have to wait it out, because you know there is no point in any team. They bring in a player, they drop him, right, and they drop him after 2 games, तो उसमें आपको ये भी नहीं and you go back to the same player, so you've not decided anything. You didn't give the incumbent the chances you thought he needed, or that
Correct.
you should have given, and then replacement player also hasn't gotten any chances. तो ये लोगों को थोड़ा समझना पड़ेगा कि you can't expect anyone and every player to just come in straight away and score runs. Not everyone's Surya Kumar Yadav,
Yeah.
who just take to playing T20 internationals as fish to water, because एक और चीज़ है, वो उनको experience भी है. He's made his debut when he's 30-31, so he's more clear about his game. But when someone is going to make a debut at the age of 23-24, you're still discovering your game. तो वहाँ पर आपको
Absolutely.
वैसे भी ज़्यादा chances की ज़रूरत है. तो I think थोड़ा जो impatience है in general, with regards to the Indian fans, and not just in cricket but in sport, needs to go away, क्योंकि impatience होने पे it won't help anyway.
It doesn't help. Yeah, it doesn't help. And speaking of fans, a lot of viewers are also commenting. वो आपकी बात से सहमत हैं. They're saying amazing show, guys. Please, if you have any questions for Gurkirat and I, आप यहाँ पे post कर सकते हैं अपने lock screen पे. Since you already mentioned Shreyas Iyer, I'm gonna go straight into it because this is a player who has had his ups and downs. He's also, I think, earned, like you said, he's earned his right to be here. He was utterly dominant across formats, Gurkira. जैसे कि आपने जिक्र किया था, going into the IPL. He had that fantastic test series, the test match, day one at Bangalore against Sri Lanka. He got 92 scored runs. West Indies आई Sri Lanka आई Then he had that, like you said, middling IPL. Perhaps the captaincy did not sit with him well at a new franchise, but he's someone who's, like Surya Kumar Yadav, has played a lot of cricket and he's done decently well. The numbers here in T20 were not that good. He got that 64 in the last match. अब मैं क्यों इस बंदे के बारे में बात कर रहा हूं? Because it seems, just going back to the, giving the long rope, he's clearly got a long rope and the team has some faith in him. It would have been very easy for this team to perhaps maybe not play him in the T20s, given the way that the form was patchy, but they gave him, I think, 4 or 5 matches. They tried him as an opener. तो ऐसे signals मिलते हैं कि the time has come where they see value in him, and it's going to be a month on when they're going to have to name the squad for the T20 World Cup. बहुत लोग कह रहे हैं कि यार short ball का problem है. हाँ, short ball का problem है, but it's something which I think he can overcome. How do you see Shreyas Iyer, the T20 player, और अगर ये एशिया कप खेलते हैं और वर्ल्ड कप खेलते हैं, तो what is the best number for him?
I uh, I feel that he'll miss out on the bus to Australia, because if India
Okay.
are going to have someone like Virat Kohli, then he's anyway not going to make the first 11. And
Hmm.
there are people like Hooda who's doing well, and they also offer you uh, a chance, something with the ball. So I think he'll miss out. And वो जो short ball का issue है वो क्या है, वो अभी extend हो गया है to just back off length bowling, because it's now started to play on his mind, wherein his front foot game is also affecting in my view, because it's something that started to happen to Suresh Raina post 2015 World Cup or 2014 series, wherein he would keep waiting for the short ball, and in that regard, what he couldn't do was couldn't transfer his weight, because at the back of your mind, that is what is always coming. So I think that is where he's struggling. And then uh, he people think he's good against spin, but he's good against finger spin. Against leg spin and wrist spin, he's had his struggles. I
Correct.
think this IPL he was dismissed to wrist spin 6 times in 14 games. So वो भी issue है कहीं ना कहीं. And I think till the time, and nowadays with so much of video analysis and everything, and your struggles being
Yeah.
telegraphed to pretty much everyone, it's very difficult if you're not able to work it out. Now everyone knows that in T20s, especially if a pacer is bowling at Pant, that you need to bowl wide outside off to him, because that is where he struggles to connect the ball or doesn't have as many shots, because he's premeditating to hit on the leg side. वैसे ही श्रेयस का जो अब वो इशू है शॉर्ट बॉल का, या शॉर्ट ऑफ लेंथ बॉलिंग का, वो ज़्यादा टेलीग्राफ हो गया. इट्स बिकम टू बिग फॉर हिम टू जस्ट escape it. And T20 में तो वैसे भी you can't play out bowlers. In ODIs you
Yeah.
still can, in test matches you still can. So I think he'll remain in the scheme of things for India in ODIs for sure. In T20s, I think he'll find it difficult, and he might even miss the bus to Australia. Might play in the Asia Cup, but again, if,
Might
if
be.
Virat and KL Rahul are there, right, where does Shreyas Iyer fit? Because Surya Kumar Yadav is not going to get dropped, neither is Hardik Pandya. And outside, if he's batting outside of top three, then he's not being utilized anyway well either. So वो टॉप थ्री में ही अगर उनकी जगह नहीं बनती, तो उनका 11 में जगह बनाना मुश्किल है. और एक्स्ट्रा प्लेयर्स में जो आपके outside the first 11 होंगे, you'd like someone who's bit of a floater and can bat at different positions, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
something Saka and Samson provide.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I also have doubts whether he'll go to the World Cup. He'll probably get another chance in the Asia Cup, but that also dependent on whether KL Rahul comes back or not. Another player who, I mean, Jessica, I said earlier on, he's the most fascinating Indian cricketer of this generation for me, ऋषभ पंत. एक तरफ टेस्ट मैच में वो ऑलरेडी गोट के स्टेटस तक शायद पहुंच गए हैं. In one day, I think he's come a long way. That 100 recently was outstanding. But T20 में surprisingly he's not had that role clarity or that conviction word again. But the team has to accommodate him because they know how bloody good he is. They've done everything. They've had Surya Kumar Yadav open. They've had Shreyas Iyer open. They've literally shuffled around the batting to try and see where Rishabh Pant fits in. I'm okay with this idea of him opening because the success rate will outweigh the failures given the fact that you need to score faster. Wo lefty, I think you spoke briefly about the problems. The team doesn't change. Those are 17 championship champions trophy final, left arm pace screwed India. 2019 World Cup semi final, Trent Bolt getting Virat Kohli screwed India. We saw it again. Shahin Shah, Afridi, the problem. Someone like a Pant may not be the obvious answer, but lefty hai, thode maverick hai, thode range hai. Where do you see Pant's best place in this T20 11?
It's either number four or opening. Now, uh, I personally feel, because this debate has happened quite long before, that India should try, opening with Pant. I
Yeah,
think in white ball, opening is the easiest position. Because you'll see any player who struggles, teams try and open with him, and they get a decent sort of success, because field restrictions hai, the ball doesn't move these days a lot,
yep,
right?
yep, yep.
Even in Australia it doesn't move. So if you can play the bounce and pace, and then also, even if you're not good against spin, there are only two fielders outside. So opening,
Correct.
I feel, in today's time is the easiest position to bat, right? And you wouldn't want someone as good as Rishabh Pant with so much quality to be opening, because that can be taken up by players who are not as skilled as what he is, right?
Hmm.
His issue is only with the white lines, and I think because there has been so much scrutiny on how he plays, like in the 2020 IPL and post that, you felt that he was not batting the way he should be batting in T20s. He had completely taken a risk averse kind of a risk averse kind of a approach. But this IPL, you saw that he wanted to change that approach once again. He
Yeah.
was taking risks till the time he was getting dismissed, because he might have averaged around 30 31, but his strike rate was 152. And this is despite him
And that's
not
what
even
matters in T20.
yeah, and this is despite him not scoring a 50 this whole IPL. So someone scoring 350 plus runs at an average of 30 plus without scoring a 50 in the IPL. So it tells you that even when he's not at his best, his middling or an average kind of a season is still better than the ceilings of many other players, right? तो वहाँ पर दिस इज़ वाई द टीम स्टिकिंग विद हिम. एंड जो आपने बात करी कि क्या ओपन कराया जा सकता है, अगर आप देखेंगे लेफ्ट आर्मर्स का भी जो रिकॉर्ड होता है दैट इज़ बेटर अगेंस्ट राइट हैंडर्स एज अपोज टू left handers, because again there's this natural angle of taking the ball away even if you bowl the straighter one, which
Yeah.
doesn't, which brings the caught behind and the four stump line in play. तो उसको accommodate करने के लिए definitely India can look to do that. And what
Sure.
it will also do is it will ensure that if say someone like a Rohit is opening, now Rohit struggles against spin, right, left arm spin or off spin also, because he's been getting out to off spin. तो वो रिस्क जो है वहां पर भी पंत कैन प्रोटेक्ट समवन लाइक रोहित, or ensure that the teams are not bowling spin at Rohit, which also allows Rohit to settle in and then play the kind of innings that he can. Because what happened with Surya Kumar Yadav opening with Rohit was that in and you saw that in the second game, like, because Surya Kumar Yadav also struggles against left arm spin. Straight away, West Indies had nothing to do. They just bowled Akil Hussain,
Correct.
and
Correct.
and then Rohit was also dismissed to Akil Hussain in the fourth T20. तो पंत ओपनिंग विल ऑल्सो इंश्योर दैट एक लेफ्ट आर्मर का थ्रेट थोड़ा अवॉइड हो जाए, एंड जो स्पिन का थ्रेट है फॉर रोहित वो भी कुछ हद तक अवॉइड हो जाए.
Interesting, interesting points. Yeah, I think if you have to use him in my book, I would use him as an opener. But again, let's see how it goes. We're running out of time. One more question on a batsman. How convinced are you by DK's performances since being recalled?
Pretty convinced. He's himself said it, and I fully agree with him that his role is quite a volatile one, right? Uh,
Yep.
you just have to come in and keep going, and sometimes, especially in this series, if you see India played the first game at Brian Lara Stadium, which was the first international game. So
Ever played?
if you are anyway playing at a stadium where you haven't played much and you have to come in and you have to come in and do the finishing job, it's difficult, but he still played very well there. And then the pitches also in this series were two paced, so finishing is a difficult role. It becomes even more difficult when you have not played at these pitches, and on top of it these pitches are two paced. So I am not
Hmm.
very worried about DK, because if you look at his range and his skill against pace bowling, it's pretty good against left arm pace as well. He's scored at a strike rate of around 140 with an average of 30 plus or 35 plus, if I'm not wrong. So I'm not worried about DK. He has a good amount of range and he enjoys pace and bounce. So agar slow pitches pe he even struggles for a venue like Australia, uh, he's someone who you would like to take. Also, it's not that he doesn't have shots square of the wicket, or he doesn't have shots straight down the ground. Australia में grounds are
Yep.
dimensions में काफी change होता है. If you move from Adelaide to Melbourne, the
Yep.
the longest boundary moves from the straightest boundary to the square boundary. So he also has that sense कि if he's playing in Adelaide, he'll look to target the square boundary, and if he's playing in Melbourne, he'll look to target the straightest boundary, or in Brisbane. तो उतना वो सारी चीज़ें जो हैं that work in DK's favor.
And all that you're saying that comes with experience, and that's something he has lots of. So let's see how that goes. For the bowler coming up now on our screen was the bowler of the series here, the player of the series. एक लेफ्ट आर्मर की बहुत बहुत सख्त जरूरत है, and I'm very glad that Arshdeep got his chances, because he's not even in the top 12, 15 wicket takers of the IPL, but the role he had, the clarity in bowling at the death, that is what has got him chances here. You think he's done enough to get himself on that flight to Australia?
Early signs are definitely there. You'd hope that he carries his form and works on it. एक
Yeah.
और चीज़ है यहाँ पर इंडिया के लिए जो कि बहुत अच्छी है कि पोस्ट जहीर खान यू फेल्ट कि there's a drought of left arm bowlers, and
बिल्कुल.
because India wanted a left arm bowler, they also got in Khalil Ahmed when he wasn't particularly ready. Khalil Ahmed was, I think, only 21, 22, because 2016 he was part of the same under 19 World Cup that Ishan Kishan,
Yep.
Sarfraz Ahmed, Rishabh Pant, and all these guys were. So he was then brought in the team when he was still very raw. Now we saw in the IPL, now he's also become better. He's also worked on his pace. There's Mohsin Khan who's done decently. So I think now India also have options for that left arm pace option. Uh, I think with Harshal's injury, if Harshal doesn't play in the Asia Cup as well,
That's a
then
big point.
Arshdeep's spot in the 11 becomes more and more permanent.
Yeah.
Also, what Arshdeep playing in the 11 does is it ensures that India don't have to use 2 overs of Bumrah in the power play. They can save Bumrah for the middle overs and the death overs, and just operate with Bhuvneshwar Kumar and uh, and Arshdeep in the power play. बिकॉज इस ईयर हमें आईपीएल में देख के लग रहा था कि नहीं, वो उनकी स्पेशलिटी डेथ में ही बॉलिंग करने की है। पर जो 2020 की आईपीएल है, जो 2021 की आईपीएल है, वहाँ पर जब उन्होंने पावर प्ले में बॉलिंग करी है, ही इज़
Correct.
हैड द स्किल टू मूव द बॉल, एंड वी सॉ इट इन दिस आईपीएल एज वेल, वी सॉ दैट इन द वन आउट गेम इन इंग्लैंड। तो ग्रेट साइंस फॉर इंडिया।
Absolutely, and you need that left armor going. I think he's done enough. Like you said, Harshal Patel को लेके काफी doubts हैं, whether he's going to be fit. I think the Asia Cup would be the biggest indicator. One final question on a bowler here. मैं इस लड़के का तो बहुत बहुत बड़ा fan हूँ. कहाँ गए मेरे दोस्त? This guy coming up on the screen here, Ravi Bishnoi. We saw he got more chances than Kuldeep Yadav, and it can be rightly argued that you don't need two leg spinners going to Australia because आपके पास चहल है. But I also don't feel that you need two slow left armers like for like. How do you see this guy fitting into India's World Cup plans? Chance है इसका?
यहाँ पर ना एक चीज़ है जो कि हम जब we tend to simplify things again because we're not looking at it deeply.
Hmm.
Chahal is a wrist spinner, a right arm wrist spinner, so is Bishnoi
Yep.
a right arm wrist spinner. But दोनों की trajectories and दोनों की way of operation is very different. Uh,
बिल्कुल. Much quicker.
Ravi Bishnoi doesn't bowl a leg spinner. Ravi Bishnoi only bowls a wrong one or the flipper, right? In fact, I just tweeted it yesterday कि रवि बिश्नोई की ट्रैजेक्टरी ऐसी है कि if he doesn't bowl full, right, he batsman very will have great difficulty to hit him, because उनकी जो natural trajectory है to the right-handed batsman, the ball doesn't bounce a lot and it keeps skidding and it keeps going away from the left-handed batsman. So you really, for a left-handed batsman, you need to have great range on the offside to attack him or to hit him. And for a right-hander, you need to you need to tell yourself again, or you need to tell yourself opposite of what your instincts and muscle memory is telling you. Ki I have to be prepared to hit everything to the leg side, and I have to do it while playing from the crease, क्योंकि उनकी पेस भी ऐसी है, he's consistently bowling 90 प्लस। चहल जो है
Yep.
कभी कभी 80 पे डालते हैं, 85 पे डालते हैं, तो दैट गिव्स द बैटर टाइम, एंड चहल ऑल्सो फ्लाइट्स द बॉल। बिश्नोई really doesn't flight the ball, so he can be India's, you know राशिद खान तो अभी थोड़ा ऊपर हो गया, but he can be very close
Correct.
to somewhat like what Samuel Badri was for West Indies, provided he bowls the lengths that Samuel Badri used to bowl. अगर आप अभी क्लोजली
Good
देखेंगे
example.
जो बिश्नोई के साथ होता है, ही ओनली गेट्स हिट्स फॉर बाउंड्रीज व्हेन ही इज बॉलिंग इट फुल, बिकॉज जब एक बारी बॉल फुल आ गई, तो बैटर को टाइम मिल गया ना कि वो अपना पैर आगे रखें एंड देन घुमा दें, बिकॉज आप
Correct.
बॉल को टर्न होने का भी मौका नहीं मिलना। और वही आप कल देखें, जो उनको पहला बाउंड्री पड़ा रॉफमन पावल से जब बॉल फुल थी, लेंथ पीछे खींची, एक बॉल पे बीट
Clueless.
हुए, दूसरी बॉल पे आउट। और ये आईपीएल में भी उनके साथ रहा है। यहाँ पर ही इज मच अहेड ऑफ समवन लाइक कुलदीप यादव, बिकॉज कुलदीप यादव डजंट हैव दैट पेस, एंड अगेन उनको बिकॉज ऑफ बाउंस तो दोनों को ही नहीं मिलता, पर कुलदीप यादव बॉल को उतना स्किड ही नहीं करा सकते जितना रवि बिश्नोई करा सकते हैं एट पेस, बिकॉज अगेन वो जो रिलीज पॉइंट्स हैं, कुलदीप यादव ने बहुत मेहनत करके अपनी जो एवरेज स्पीड है वो 75 किलोमीटर्स और 80 की रेंज से 80 to 85 करी है। बट इन टूडेज टाइम इफ यू लुक एट समवन लाइक राशिद बोलिंग, Rashid can even bowl 100 plus. So that makes it so difficult. By default, if a spinner is bowling at 95 or 100 plus, you can't even think of coming on the front foot, because आप front foot पे आके या आगे बढ़ के you can't, you don't have that time. So as a batter, you need to be really skillful on the back foot to get boundaries of these bowlers, which is why someone like Ravi Bishnoi can turn out to be an absolutely great
Yep.
T20 spinner for India, provided he works on his lens.
Provided he works on his line. मैं तो कह रहा हूँ ये डार्क हॉर्स है वर्ल्ड कप के लिए. If anyone's listening to us, please इनको आप select कर दो. He's gonna on those pitches. I think he could be a handful. We've absolutely run out of time, Gurkirat. It's been an absolute pleasure. Really insightful chat. One of the best sessions we've had here on Glance. Thank you for your time, and hopefully we can do this again. And keep your podcast series going as well. Gilly Cricket.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Really enjoyed it. सिर्फ एक update दे दूँ because I was looking at the hockey
मैं
screen
भी
as well. It's not great. It's
मैं भी वही
5-0,
देख रहा था.
and this score is very similar to the score that was when the Commonwealth Games was happening in 2010 in Delhi. At that point of time, also the halftime score was 5-0, and India had lost
Yep.
8-0. So hopefully, आज 8-0 ना हो. Maybe
हाँ.
there's a turnaround that happens, but at this point of time, it's looking difficult.
It's looking difficult. Yes. Well, let's wish everyone at the Commonwealth Games all the best. It's been a fantastic time. And once again, Gurkirat, thank you for your time. And thank you to all the viewers who stuck around for 40 minutes to post their comments for us. Thank you all.
Thank you.